XRP just did something Bitcoin and Ethereum couldn't do, and it happened 5 weeks in a row. Plus, the July 4th Clarity Act deadline that everyone was excited about may already be off the table. And the Iran deal that was supposed to pump the entire market? There's a massive twist that almost nobody is talking about. Stay with me because this is important. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Hope your weekend is going well. And if you follow basketball, you already know the Knicks are celebrating hard right now. Today we are breaking down everything that is currently moving the crypto market, starting with XRP, which is sitting around the $1.40 range as we speak. But before we get into anything, please make sure you read the disclaimer below. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Now let's get into what is actually controlling price action across the entire market right now. The top cryptocurrencies have been moving sideways for the past several days, and the reason is simple: global uncertainty. There has been massive attention on a potential agreement between the United States and Iran. On the surface, things were looking promising. Multiple signals were lining up at the same time. Confirmation from Pakistani leadership that final text had been agreed upon, Iran resuming diplomatic relations with UAE, and U.S. officials stating that talks were around 85% complete. People were saying this time feels different because never before had so many indicators pointed in the same direction simultaneously. However, the situation flipped very quickly. Reports started emerging that last-minute complications had appeared, with key disagreements still remaining on the table. And then came the biggest twist. Iran's military forces completely sealed off access to their entire stockpile of near-bomb-grade uranium. Tunnels were deliberately collapsed, and explosive mines were installed at the entrances of major nuclear facilities. According to reports, Iran appears to be pushing toward a scenario where no deal gets signed and the United States would be forced to take the material by force. Meanwhile, conflicting statements are coming from both sides, with disagreements over whether any real agreement even exists. The situation in Lebanon is also adding more pressure, with drone activity increasing tension and threatening to derail the entire process. Markets got very excited on Friday, and we saw both stocks and crypto jumping on the optimism. But right now, everything is hanging by a thread. On the trading side, there have still been some real opportunities in the market, even while the majors have been quiet. Certain altcoins have been running nicely, and if you know where to look, there is still money to be made even in a slow weekend market. If you are looking for a platform to trade on, there is a new exchange called Ubit that has partnered with the channel. They offer spot trading, futures, and TradeFi options. There is a welcome bonus available for new users who complete some simple tasks, and the link is in the description below. Please understand the risks involved, especially with leverage trading, before you get started. Now moving on to the Clarity Act, which is something that has the entire crypto community watching closely. There was a lot of excitement after it was mentioned that July 4th could be the target date to sign this into law. However, that timeline is now being walked back. To actually hit that date would require resolving ethics disagreements between both parties, fixing issues in the agriculture text, merging different versions of the bill, securing 60 votes, and passing it through both the Senate and the House, all within roughly 2 weeks. That has been described as logistically impossible, especially with a congressional recess coming up at the end of June. A more realistic expectation would be sometime by end of summer, perhaps by end of August. It is important not to get locked into specific dates, but rather focus on the direction things are heading, and the direction still looks positive. Now let us talk about what XRP is actually doing right now, because this is genuinely impressive. XRP ETF flows have outpaced both Bitcoin and Ethereum for 5 consecutive weeks in a row. That is not a coincidence. That signals real and persistent institutional demand, even during a period of overall bearish crypto sentiment. One possible reason for this is that a lot of money that was sitting in the more mature Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs may have rotated out, possibly into things like SpaceX, whereas XRP ETF money is newer money that has not been sitting there long enough for people to feel like cashing out. In terms of price performance over the last month, XRP is down around 22%, which is actually very comparable to Bitcoin at 20%, Ethereum at 26%, and Solana at 26%. Over 6 months, Bitcoin is still the strongest performer, which makes sense given its massive market cap of over $1.29 trillion. It is simply much harder to move an asset that large. XRP currently sits at around 71 billion in market cap and has actually slipped to 6th place, with BNB now sitting at 4th. But these rankings shift all the time, and we have seen XRP climb back before. The bigger picture here is that Clarity Act still appears to be on its way to passing. When you have a Republican majority, a president pushing for it, and a bill that has been worked on for this long, the chances of it failing are historically low. The real question is just timing. And once that dark cloud is removed, just like when the SEC appeal was dropped and XRP exploded, the market could react very significantly. Long-term, the outlook remains very bullish. Short-term, there are things to watch, like the upcoming Japanese interest rate decision, which could create some volatility. Stay sharp, stay patient, and keep doing your research. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do and ring the bell so you never miss an update. And as always, let's make a lot of money